This is a really quick video just looking at the relationship between participation and unemployment rates. And you've got to be able to explain them both ways. So you've got to be able to explain the impact that participation rates will have on unemployment rates and the impact that higher or lower unemployment will have on participation. So the harder one is the impact that participation rates will have on unemployment. So in the short term, a higher participation rate just means there's more people looking for work. So a higher participation rate means it's kind of like if you're trying out for a sporting team. There's more people trying out for that position. So higher participation rates can actually increase unemployment in the short term. And that's because new people start to seek jobs. So school leavers, for example, are classified as unemployed. Okay, they're entering the labour force, they're now part of the labour force, and therefore there's more competition for jobs, and that can increase unemployment. So in the short term, higher participation rates lead to more unemployment because there's more people looking for the same number of jobs. A lower participation rate would often lead to decreased unemployment because there'll be less people looking for jobs. So one benefit of our ageing population, for example, is that we now have more older workers and therefore they leave the labour force. And if that can create skill shortages or make it easier for younger people to find work, then that's one benefit in the short term, that they would be less unemployment. So short term, higher participation rates lead to higher unemployment, more people are looking for work. In the long term, however, higher participations, and we talked about this a little bit when we linked it to growth, higher participation rates should help to put downward pressure on wages. So higher participation means more competition for jobs. That means wages go down. And therefore, one thing, businesses will be more likely to be labour intensive once they have lower labour costs. So the cost of labour go down, they're more willing to be labour intensive because then essentially it's just cheaper for them. So high participation leads to downward pressure on wages and therefore they're more likely to hire labour. And secondly, it also leads to an increase in labour productivity because there's more competition for jobs. So there's more supply of labour, I've got to be better at my job or someone else can take it, and therefore that leads to improved productivity. And the benefit of these two things, of lower wages and higher productivity, is that that makes us more internationally competitive because it keeps our costs low. So it keeps firms' costs of production down, we become more internationally competitive, and that helps to create jobs in Australia. So the fear is that with our lower participation rates, when we've got this ageing population, that's going to lead to skill shortages, it's going to lead to higher prices, and it could lead to jobs moving offshore. And that's something that's sort of a big fear for the Australian economy because our cost of labour could increase in the long term. So summing up, higher participation rates, short term, more unemployment, more people looking for work, more competition. Long term, it can lead to less unemployment because it puts downward pressure on wages, there's more productivity for workers, and that helps to keep our costs down and keeps jobs in Australia. So hopefully, by keeping participation rates higher, we're able to keep jobs in Australia by reducing production costs. The impact of unemployment on participation rates. So we've looked at the impact that this participation rate has on unemployment. You also need to be able to do it the other way around, and the impact that decreased unemployment might have on participation rates. So when there's decreased unemployment, it's basically telling people that it's easy to find work. So when there's low unemployment, there's not many people looking for jobs, and that can lead to an increase in participation rates because people are less likely to be discouraged from working. On the flip side, when there's high levels of unemployment, so if there's unemployment in Australia of say 7% or 8%, that might tell people that it's too hard to find work, and they become discouraged and opt out of the labour force. It's like, there's not enough chance that I'm going to be getting a job here, I'll give up. So decreased unemployment will always lead to a rise in participation. Increased unemployment, people will leave the labour force and it will increase. Increased unemployment will lead to lower participation rates as people leave the labour force because it's too hard to get a job. Thanks for listening.